ayes. Okay, 4:30. Roll call shows we're all here. It's the Wednesday, July 10th, 2019 meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Valley Independent Fire District. And roll call shows that we are all here. And we're going to adjourn to closed session. We have conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, one potential case. Threat of litigation dated May 31st, 2018 from David Mistagny, attorney at law, representing Chino Valley Professional Firefighters, Local 3522. Also, we have conference with real property negotiators. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, the Board of Directors will meet with its designated negotiators, Fire Chief Tim Shackelford, Futures Facilities Ad Hoc Committee, 2 pages flipped. Members President John DeMonico and Director Sarah Ramos-Evinger regarding real property owned by the City of Chino Hills and located on an undeveloped parcel located on the south side of Sokol Canyon at the intersection of Sokol Canyon and Pipeline Avenue. The Board of Directors will instruct the district's negotiators concerning the price and terms of payment. So with that, we will go ahead and adjourn to closed session.
No, I didn't know that.
That's so true. So true.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen her before. She's back there kissing the deputy. I don't know what that means, though.
Okay, we ready to go? Steve.
So where is it? Oh.
Okay, we're going to reopen to open session and report for the record that Director Ramos-Evinger had to leave the meeting early at 5:45, but let the record state that the remaining 4 directors are present. And going to report on a closed session. So Isaac, would you like to do that, please?
Yes, there's no reportable action for either closed session item. However, President DeMonico has dissolved the Future Facilities Ad Hoc Committee. This is in regards to the closed session agenda conference with real property negotiators. Moving forward, this item regarding real property owned by the City of Chino Hills and located on an undeveloped parcel located at the south side of Sokol Canyon at the intersection of that street and Pipeline Avenue. The designated real property negotiator will be Fire Chief Tim Shackelford.
Thank you. This time I'd like to ask all attendees to please silence your cell phones. And I'd better start with mine, because I'm usually the guilty party, so. Oh, it's off. Just want to make a real quick announcement. The district recently completed the installation of new equipment that will allow us to record video footage of board meetings. At the last board meeting, a recording was conducted as a trial run of the new system, and as of tonight, we will begin recording all of our board meetings going forward. Staff recommends that everyone speak clearly into the microphones when making their comments or presenting their reports for recording purposes. So at this time, I'd like to ask everybody to please rise for our flag salute. And if you would please join me in a salute to the flag of the greatest country in the world. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And would you please remain standing? And at this time, I would like to ask Chaplain Robert Lewis to come up for our invocation.
bow your heads, please. Let's pray together. Holy Father in heaven, it is good to be here. It is good to be able to come to you with concerns we have and the words of thanksgiving for your kindness, for not allowing us to be here. We pray that tonight's session will go well, that you would hear and give guidance to the peacemakers, the ones who have to hold the reputation of this department somewhat together. We pray for the director, the associates, the assistants. We pray for the chief and his staff. We pray for all the members of the Chino Fire District. Let your blessing be upon us, Father, as we go through the activities this evening, that things will go well and we get something accomplished. This is our prayer. Please incline your ear to us and grant us your peace. In Jesus' name we pray, and everybody said, amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. This time, I'd like to ask our clerk if we have any changes to the agenda.
No changes.
No changes to the agenda. We'll move on with presentations and announcements.
Okay. Employee Service Awards, Mark Verini, 25 years. Captain Mark Verini, to the front.
Make you feel a lot older than you did. You can sit right here. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Mark Verini was hired as firefighter by the Fire District in June of 1994. Mark and his wife Elizabeth reside in the city of Alta Loma and have two daughters, Olivia and Ava. Ava.
Yes.
And then Alta Loma, that's now Rancho Cucamonga.
It's
isn't it?
Rancho Cucamonga.
Yes, I thought so. I used to live in Cucamonga before it was Rancho. Mark is a 1984 graduate from Rosemead High School and attended Rio Hondo College. And he completed his fire academy in 1992 and receiving the honor of top cadet. He received an Associate of Science degree in Fire Science from Rio Hondo College in 1993. Mark was promoted to engineer in October of 2000 and then to captain in 2012. Mark has served on the Apparatus Committee, CVPF Union Board, Explorer Advisor, and assisted with writing the engineer promotional exams. His current administrative assignments are overseeing the purchase of commercial tires and the Knox Key program. In his free time, Mark enjoys spending time with his family, camping, and restoring vintage automobiles. Mark is assigned to Station 64B shift in the city of Chino Hills. Mark? Mark, and with 25 years, everybody gets to pick out their own watch, and Mark picked out a G-Shock.
I did.
Most firemen pick out a G-Shock. They're a really good watch, and I'd like to present you the G-Shock.
Thank you so much. I
And thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much for your 25 years of service.
Thank you.
And we look forward to a lot more.
Not 25 more, though. You're gonna get about 4.
Let's negotiate. 6. We'll start
I,
with 5.
I work with HR extensively. We're 25, that's not, 25 more, not a good thing.
Not a good
There are
thing.
way too many injuries at that point at that
Exactly.
age. So, Mark, it's my honor to present you with your 25-year pin as well. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for the service of the organization.
It's been a pleasure working with you all these years, too.
Likewise, likewise.
Do you have your family here?
I do.
Would you please introduce, actually have them come up?
Yeah, Olivia and Ava and my wife Elizabeth. We just, wasn't here last month. We had our 20-year anniversary. We were in
Oh,
Hawaii.
congratulations.
That's where we were at, so.
Oh, wait.
Oh, you got it, Doug? Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Okay,
Okay. No, you want to just go straight there? Okay. Okay. So I'll announce Jeff then. Okay. Employee Service Awards, Jeff Taitula, 25 years. Engineer Taitula was not able to attend. Public Communications. This is the time and place for the general public to address the Board of Directors about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. The public may address items on the agenda at the time addressed by the board. Due to board policy and Brown Act requirements, action may not be taken on any issue on the agenda. When you address the board, please come up to the podium, state your name and address prior to making your remarks. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Mayor Cynthia Moran, City of Chino Hills.
Petitioning for Brian Joes this evening. So I just have a couple brief comments. First of all, I wanted to thank the fire team for coming to our city council meeting last night and giving a great demonstration for the CPR. It was very well received, and because our meetings are taped, a lot of residents will be able to watch the demonstration and all the information that was given. And then also, I would like to personally, on a personal note and as a member of city council, thank you guys for the awesome job you had in tackling the fire over by Hunters Hill. That's my neighborhood. My neighbors were very grateful, and the neighbors that had arrived right away said that if it had not been for the fire, you know, getting, I guess they said, knocked down as fast as it did, it would have spread really quickly to some neighboring homes. So I just wanted to share the gratitude that my neighbors said to share with all of you. Were any of you at that fire? Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, thank you. And then the other announcements, we have some significant staff changes in our city. So with Ben Montgomery getting the position of city manager, we have hired a new assistant city manager. And with the retirement of Nadine Majaj, we're going to have a new public works director. And on occasion, you'll be working with them. So at a future meeting, I'll bring them for introduction. Their names have not been released yet, but by the end of the week, you'll get a press release. So I'll introduce them to our fire partners at a future meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Mark Boza, Chino Valley Fire Foundation. Okay. Steve Eli, Inland Empire Utilities Agency.
Mr. President, members of the board, thank you for listening. I'm a 20-plus year resident of Chino Hills, and I also represent Chino Hills and Chino, same service area as you pretty much, on the Inland Empire Utilities Agency Board of Directors. Just really wanted to come down. I actually have never been to a fire board meeting. I'd like in the future, I noticed you have a long list of other reports in the thing. I'd like in the future for us to join the bandwagon and perhaps for you all to join our bandwagon a little bit. We do meet during the week on Wednesdays, third Wednesday usually at 10 a.m. But in any event, I wanted to just come say hi. We work well together. I will say that Ryan, whose last name I could never pronounce, came and did a bleed safe at our agency last year around right around election time, and in conjunction with the city of Chino, did also alert shooter drills, etc. And together, our employees were really amazed. Luckily, I was at your special districts dinner and saw Ryan do that last fall and brought it to our agency. So we work hand in hand, and we always will. And I think it's time to continue the communication. I'm very big on communication, so you know you always have a door to me. I appreciate you all working through difficult times as they come up. Martin Luther King said words to the effect of that a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. And I urge you to continue to shape things the way they are, even during difficult times. Unless there's any questions, I just want to thank you for your time.
Steve, thank you. And your meeting's the third Wednesday. Ours is second, so you're third at 10 a.m.
Correct. But if anybody wants to, you know, and of course, by the way, I made this offer to you and you. Why can't I remember your names right now? Jim and the newly promoted Joe to come out and coordinate tours. Obviously, you are our first responders at 5 of our facilities at IUA, which are in Chino. And so the Carbon Canyon facility, our regional plant 2, and our office, as well as the park. So your staff is incredible. I had dinner. I bought a dinner at the firehouse. These guys were amazing. And good cooks, too. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it?
That's it on the liaison reports? Okay.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the consent calendar, and I'd like to ask any board member if they would like to pull anything from the consent calendar for discussion.
I need to pull number 1.
I'd like to pull number 2.
Okay, at this time, we've pulled item 1 and 2. This time, I'd like to request any public comment. Would anybody from the public like to comment on the consent calendar or pull anything from the consent calendar for comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board, and I'm going to request a motion for items 3 through 6.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 1.
I'm asking that we pull that just because I wasn't here, so I'll need to abstain from that.
Okay, then do I have a motion to approve item 1? Motion to approve? No second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear, did you vote? Oh, aye, okay. Motion passes 3 with 1 abstention. Item 2, Mr. Williams?
Thank you. I have some questions about this agenda item. I have actually 2 questions, so I'll stop at the first question and maybe I can get an answer and then I'll continue so we don't get mixed up. I just wanted to let you know there's 2 questions. It says on the report that the May monthly figures were unavailable at publication time. It also looks like we still don't have February and April data, and the March data looks inaccurate. What is the reason we don't have this incident response data?
I believe I can address those concerns. A lot of this has to do with our transition of dispatch centers that provide that service to us. We had some challenges with our previous provider obtaining the data in a usable format prior to our transition to ComCenter, to Confire. And we are currently accumulating that data and then going to determine how we want to present that to the board. We work through that process, but the reporting has changed because we do not have the traditional first and response areas anymore with our transition and the use of AVL. So that will be coming in the future months, but we are compiling that and we'll be bringing some information forward shortly.
It will be updated and so on?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Now,
you.
to be totally factual for you, for the previously existing data, we will continue to work with Ontario to try to provide that for the missing months, but it may not be in a format that matches the new data. So in terms of a comparison for a month-to-month, it may be a little challenging to look at response times. We're looking to transition to more of a fractile response time versus the average, which is more of a recognized industry standard.
Okay, thank you very much on that. And then continuing, you were finished, am I correct? I didn't want to interrupt you. What is the reason we don't have this incident response data? You just answered that. The data shows the number of calls and response times, which is the core of what this fire district does. This data, more than any other, shows what taxpayers are getting for $40 million plus a year. Is it possible to get accurate monthly reports for all of 2019 in the next agenda and get timely reports going forward? So is that what they're going to be working on? Is that correct?
We will be working towards that. We won't be able to provide all the response data for the current year as we're still in that year. It's generally about 2 months behind once we go through that process. One of the goals that we're working towards would be more of a accurate and immediate provision of that data to the public through our website and some other means where we would actually be posting the response times, call volume, year-to-date call information, and any other associated information. So there's a transition with some software providers available to us through our new dispatch service, and Deputy Chief Johnson is working with them to formulate that data in a usable format that would make sense and be reported to the public. So it would be almost in a real-time type of format in addition to what we would provide to the board through the monthly report.
Okay, do you think that'll be coming very soon, next meeting?
We're working towards that. I can't promise you that we will have it by the August meeting. A lot of this is dependent on how it's formulated. And again, we won't be able to report for the entire calendar year until it actually occurs. So we won't have all of 2019.
Okay, thank you very much. That was my concern on that. Thank you.
Okay, you done? Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Item 2.
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4, 1 absent. And that takes care of the consent calendar. Old business, none. New business.
Item number 7, California Special Districts Association, CSDA, call for nominations for Board Director Seat B. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to confirm the fire district's desire to participate in the current CSDA board election for 2019 and cast a vote for a candidate for Seat B in the Southern Network. The fire district has received an official voting ballot from CSDA for a current vacancy on the board of directors within the Southern Network. Each network has 3 seats represented and elected by the CSDA membership. Chino Valley Fire District is included in the Southern Network. The fire district is a current member of CSDA. The CSDA Board of Directors is the governing body responsible for all policy decisions affecting CSDA's member services and legislative programs. In addition, CSDA board members are involved in responding to pending legislation and other public policy issues that may impact the operation of special districts. Attaches CSDA candidate statements for voting consideration. Any independent special district with current membership in CSDA is eligible to cast 1 vote. The ballot is due to CSDA by 5 p.m. on August 9th, 2019. It is recommended that the Board of Directors confirm the fire district's desire to participate in current CSDA board election for 2019 and cast a vote for 1 candidate for seat B in the Southern Network.
With that, I'd like to request any public comment on this item. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board and request any board comment. And I'd like to start by saying that I know a number of the people that are running for this office, but I would recommend Kathy Teagues.
Yeah, she's the one that currently holds it, correct?
Kathy, there was a reorganization, and with that reorganization, she's been off the board for a couple of years, but she's looking to get back on.
Yeah, I remember her, and I remember her being very good at that role, so I would second that nomination.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to vote for Kathy Teagues. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0, 1 absent. Item 8.
Okay. Item number 8, alleged violations of board policies and state law described during June 12, 2019 regular board meeting board comments. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to receive additional information about violations of board policy and state law alleged during the district's June 12, 2019 regular board meeting board comments, and to discuss and provide any further direction to the district staff or take any additional actions the board deems appropriate. Report by Legal Counsel Isaac Rosen.
Good evening, Board President DeMonico and members of the board. For those that don't know me, my name is Isaac Rosen. I serve as Deputy Legal Counsel for the district. We do one housekeeping note. We do have a revised staff report made available to the members of the board and to the public. That corrects one erroneous reference to a particular board policy section. It's cited to section 101.4 when it should instead have referred to section 1010.4. So new business item number 8 tonight is a discussion of allegations made during board comment during the board's regular June 12th board meeting. Specifically, there were 2 allegations made at that time alleging violations of district policy and state law. And since the board comments are not an agendized discussion item, the allegations cannot be addressed in significant detail by the board at that time. By agendizing this discussion, the board is free to discuss and provide any direction to district staff or any action they'd like to take in light of those allegations. I've prepared this staff report to address those 2 specific allegations that implicate state law and adopted board policies, and that is based on my own review. And so the first allegation, as described within the staff report, is that President DeMonico unilaterally directed legal counsel to transmit a letter to board member Williams in violation of board policy, and that President DeMonico had committed a felony in doing so. This correspondence that's attached to the staff report, which I believe we have up here, references an email from December 26, 2018. This was a public record disclosed as part of a Public Records Act request and describes an instance where Fire Chief Shackelford, quote, shared information about the situation with President DeMonico and at his request engaged district legal counsel. This correspondence is attached. It's relevant to both underlying allegations in the staff report and references Director Williams' allegations at the June 12th meeting. Under section 101.0.4 of the board policies, the chief does retain operational control over routine matters concerning the district, and under section 102.1020.6 of the board policies, the fire chief is also to be made aware of personnel concerns. In this instance, and as described within the attached email, Fire Chief Shackelford consulted with President DeMonico regarding a personnel concern that was brought to his attention, and Fire Chief Shackelford subsequently engaged with District Legal Counsel after such consultation. And I would also just note, which is referenced in the staff report, that under Board Policy Section 1020.4, the president of the board is the primary board contact with District Legal Counsel without board approval unless it involves the president, and then the contact may be through the vice president. I do not believe there's a violation of board policy within this correspondence. As well, there was an allegation regarding unlawful appropriation of public money by any district board member suggested in these allegations. I do not find that to be the case, again, based on my own review. The second allegation that was made during board comments at the June 12th regular board meeting was that the board of directors had engaged in a serial meeting based upon this same email transmitted by Fire Chief Shackelford, in which he is both the recipient and the sender. The BCC'd parties are the four other members of the board, excluding board member Williams. The allegation was that this correspondence represented a serial meeting under the Brown Act. Under the Brown Act, a majority of the board is prohibited from any communications, electronic or otherwise, in which they would be discussing board business. So in other words, I think the specific term under the Brown Act is the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, in order to have a serial meeting, and by nature of that serial meeting, a violation of the Brown Act, there would have to be back and forth correspondence. This particular piece of correspondence was sent where the four board members that were under blind copy would prevent any serial meeting, since any recipient that was BCC'd would be unable to reply all to the other board members, ensuring that any inadvertent return correspondence by any recipient board member would only go to Fire Chief Shackelford. I know the email is posted as well on the screen. The attached email expressly instructs that board members are not to share their opinion of the situation with each other, as there may be a need for board action related to this in some point of the future. So by the plain reading of the email, I do not see a Brown Act serial meeting violation, since there was no correspondence to and from recipient board members. And finally, I would note that the correspondence references a specific letter from legal counsel that was submitted to board member Williams. By sending this transmittal, the attachment described then went to all 5 board members, so they were provided the same underlying correspondence. And that is the conclusion of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. At this time, I'd like to request any public comment. Would anybody from the public like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for any board comment. Would anybody from the board have any comment?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Rose.
Mr. Rosen, do you have a copy of the letter that was sent to me initially by Jeff Ballinger? Are we able to bring that up?
So my understanding from staff is that the attachment is included and available. I just want to clear that the letter that went to staff, it sounds like I was not in attendance at the February 13 meeting. It sounds like at that time there was a waiver of attorney-client privilege that would allow the attachment letter to board member Williams to be available. If that's confirmed, then we do have the attachment letter available.
Okay, can we bring it up? Okay. Is there a second page? I would like to read the next to the last paragraph, even though I was told that I shouldn't do this. Therefore, you must not attempt to violate board policy or coerce district staff into violating board policy. Failure on your part to abide by this request will result in the board taking appropriate action, including without limitation censure, reprimand, or referral of matters to the district attorney, grand jury, or other appropriate investigative officials. When did I ask for more copies? Anybody? When did I ask for more copies? Is there anybody that doesn't understand? Failure on your part to abide by this request. In other words, don't ask for more copies or you're going to be censured. So why was I censured? Okay, let's leave that at that. I've got a statement to read. But at some point in time, I'd like somebody to tell me why I was censured when it was stated that if I did it again, I'd be censured, but you didn't wait. Anybody want to answer that here? Anybody? You see what my point is? You didn't wait. You couldn't wait. I didn't ask for any more copies. You don't have anything to say about that, do you? I thought a lawyer always had something to say. Okay, here we go. Alleged violations of board policies and state law described during June 12th, 2019 regular board meeting, board comments. I want to address Chief Shackelford's self-serving staff report. It's nice to see that he exonerates himself and his co-conspirator, John DeMonico, of any wrongdoing, but he doesn't seem like the most unbiased source to be preparing a report on this issue. You've taken several snippets of board policy out of context in your report, so let's review what your own words say in your December 26th email to the other board members, excluding me, and we'll take a look at what board policy actually says. I'll read the full text of Shackelford's email. As I anticipate Director Williams bringing this issue up with you either privately or at the upcoming board meeting, I feel that is important that you be aware of what occurred. Now remember, he's talking to the other board members. Our clerk of the board recently had a negative interaction with Director Williams. I shared information about the situation with President DeMonico and at his request engaged district legal counsel. The attached letter to Director Williams from Jeff Ballinger covers the important details of what took place and why it is problematic. As a reminder, please do not share your opinion of this situation with each other, as there may be a need for board action related to this at some point in the future. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Tim. That's the fire chief. So, reading the whole context, it is definitely a serial meeting. To reiterate, you stated, I shared the information about the situation with President DeMonico and at his request engaged district legal counsel. So by your own words, you engaged counsel at John DeMonico's request. Board Policy 1030.0 states, the Board of Directors is the unit of authority within the district. Apart from his or her normal function as a part of this unit, directors have no individual authority. As individuals, directors may not commit the district to any policy, act, or expenditure. That language seems pretty clear. The Board of Directors is the unit of authority and directors have no individual authority. Unfortunately, John DeMonico and Chief Shackelford don't understand this. They think that John DeMonico runs this board and this department, even though board policy clearly states he has no individual authority. Chief Shackelford does not answer to John DeMonico individually. He answers to this entire board. Every one of the board members up here was duly elected to represent the citizens of this district. The members of this board do not answer to John DeMonico. I am not ceding the authority vested in me by the voters to John DeMonico, and I would hope that the other board members up here are not ceding their authority to him either. Furthermore, John DeMonico had no authority to request, order, direct, whatever you want to call it, to the chief to engage legal counsel without board approval. When John DeMonico unilaterally requested that Chief Shackelford engage counsel, he committed the district to act and expended district funds without authority. This was a felony, misappropriation of district funds. John DeMonico was so anxious to retaliate against me for my past criticisms that he was looking for any pretext he could find to go after me. In this case, his pretext was the allegation that I attempted to make a few cents worth of photocopies. This was only 6 days after I was sworn in. He was determined to get me, even if it meant him committing a felony in the process. John DeMonico later made it very clear that he really didn't care about the copies. They really were just a pretext. At the February 20th meeting, he stated, and I quote, "This isn't about 2 pieces of paper or 2 copies." He stated, quote, "It's rudeness toward people. It's the way Director Williams interacts with people, and it's the way he interacts with this board." In case you're not aware, John, the right to criticize, even if you perceive it as rude, is constitutionally protected. On the other hand, unauthorized expenditure of district funds to pursue your own personal vendetta in retaliation is a felony. Chief Shackelford's staff report cites board policy, and the one that was corrected is supposed to be 101.04, which doesn't exist, stating routine matters concerning the operational aspects of the district shall be the responsibility of the fire chief. However, allegations of violations of board policy by board members are not routine matters handled by the fire chief. Board Policy 2040.3 specifically vests the board with this authority, stating, "In the event these policies are violated, whether maliciously, willfully, intentionally, or negligently, the board may, in addition to any other remedies available, censure the violating individuals, refer the matter to the appropriate authorities for civil and/or criminal investigation where applicable, seek judicial relief, or any combination of such remedies." Sounds a little bit more than making a copy, doesn't it? It does not say John DeMonico can unilaterally direct the chief to engage counsel and expend district funds. It says the board and only the board can act on allegations of board policy violations. Chief Shackelford's email clearly shows that John DeMonico not only violated board policy but state law. I'll give the other board members a chance to comment, and then I have some additional comments concerning the serial meeting aspect of Chief Shackelford's December 26th email. Are there any comments?
Yeah, our board policies say we each get to speak one time, and we do have a limit of 5 minutes, so you have your opportunity to speak right now, and then the other board members will have their opportunity to speak.
This is a board, on the
I'm going by
board.
board policies, you keep referring to board
Yeah.
policies, read it.
I did read the board policy, and it said on a subject that isn't on the board. Chief Shackelford's staff report claims there was no serial meeting when he sent his December 26th email to the entire board, except for me. Except for me. He claimed no serial meeting occurred because he blind copied the other board members, and therefore any reply to the email would go to him only. This conveniently ignores the fact that this was a classic case of a hub and spoke serial meeting with Chief Shackelford acting as the conduit in an impermissible email meeting. The hub-spoke version of a meeting occurs when one board member or representative of the board member, acting as an intermediary, individually contacts the other board members to discuss an item of business or transaction. This centralized network system allows one person, in this case Chief Shackelford, to coordinate the message and create a concerted plan to engage in public business through communications and violates the Brown Act. Government Code Section 45952.2B2 states that employees of an agency cannot communicate to members of the legislative body the comments or position of any other member or members of the legislative body. However, that is exactly what occurred here. Chief Shackelford communicated to the majority of the board the position of John DeMonico. Not only that, he communicated action that was taken by the district at John DeMonico's request without board approval. And for good measure, Chief Shackelford threw in his own speculation about what I might do. To eliminate any doubt that this was a serial meeting after these impermissible communications of board member positions, Chief Shackelford concluded his email by noting that this would likely be a future action item of business before the board. The district cannot conduct business like this through email. The people have the right to know what their board is doing. This is clearly a Brown Act violation, plain and simple. End of report.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Would any other board member like to make a comment right now?
I don't.
I would just say, I believe council has pointed out, clarified that what a serial meeting constitutes, and that one didn't occur. And in order for a serial meeting to have occurred, plain, pure, and simple, it would require response and interaction from the various board members back to the chief. For a hub and spoke situation to have occurred, there would have had to have been communications back to the chief and vice versa, and that did not occur. And so, plain, pure, and simple, there was no serial meeting, my only response.
Do you think you acted fairly
Excuse me,
based on what was
excuse me.
stated?
He has not relinquished his time, and you're not recognized by the board yet. We each get a turn. So,
That would end my comment.
okay, Director Krieger, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I have a comment that I'd like to make too, and I believe what was presented tonight by our attorney is 100% accurate, and I stand by his report. There were no violations. I am not a felon. I acted in the best interest of this district with anything I do and everything I do from the day I was elected. And I'd also like to go on record as saying our chief is in a tough position here. You all know that. And I really respect the chief. I think the chief does a tremendous job, and thank you, chief, for the job you do. And please don't be discouraged, and please continue to do your job. So with that, does this require a motion and a second or a receive and file?
The board can take any action as a discussion item. It can direct staff, it can receive and file, it can take any action it deems appropriate.
Do I have a recommendation for receive?
Receive and file?
We have a recommendation for receive and file, and we'll receive and file. So we'll go on to item 9.
Information regarding the implementation of security screening at meetings of the Board of Directors. Purpose is to provide the Board of Directors with information regarding the implementation of security screening procedures at meetings of the Board of Directors. Report by Fire Chief Tim Shackelford.
President DeMonico, members of the board, good evening. To continue with our practice of transparency, I want to share that after the June board meeting, we received a public records request from Mr. Kyle Williams of Chino Hills. One of the items that was requested by Mr. Williams is communication pertaining to, discussing, or authorizing the hiring of security screening for Chino Valley Independent Fire District board meetings. It is not my intent this evening to address the public records request, but I felt that it was appropriate to share that information as this topic relates to the request that we received. As fire chief, one of my most significant responsibilities is providing for the safety of our personnel. This evening, I'm presenting information to the Board of Directors, the public, and our staff on why I decided to implement the security screening procedures that are currently in place. I will provide some recent examples by date momentarily, but in summary, the security screening was implemented due to the behavior of Director Williams. May 30th. During the afternoon hours of May 30th, Director Williams was in the parking lot of Fire Administration and shouted at 2 employees in what was described as a loud manner as they went to their vehicle. Later that same day, a special board meeting took place at the training center, during which I provided information regarding Director Williams' lack of compliance with the directives and restrictions placed upon him by the board. Prior to the conclusion of the meeting, Director Williams abruptly left, and as he walked past me, he threw 2 folders at me. June 3rd. Prior to the start of the special board meeting on June 3rd, Director Williams knocked on the glass door at Fire Administration in a very aggressive manner. Once inside the boardroom, Director Williams began shouting at me and making accusations and derogatory remarks. President DeMonico asked for some decorum, yet Director Williams continued on with his inappropriate remarks. During the June 3rd special board meeting, President DeMonico explained the actions that the board had taken pertaining to Director Williams at the May 30th meeting. The first action was to eliminate Director Williams' Fire District facility fob access. The second was to restrict Director Williams from attending events at Fire District facilities not open to the public without prior approval. When President DeMonico stated that the retirement luncheon on June 5th was not open to the public, Director Williams replied, "I will be here." President DeMonico then clarified that it was a private event and that we would have law enforcement present. Director Williams then replied, "They can haul me off." June 5th. On June 5th at approximately 11:40 a.m., Director Williams arrived at Fire Administration without an appointment and attempted to gain access to the private event through the lobby area. Deputy Chief Johnson repeatedly explained that the board had taken action that required Director Williams to receive permission from me to attend private events, and he had not done so. Director Williams remained in the lobby for approximately 45 minutes, during which time he attempted to engage staff in conversation despite board direction that he not do so. Director Williams eventually left the lobby, walked to an employee entrance on the north side where he attempted to gain access to the building but was unsuccessful. Keep in mind that it had been made clear that he was not allowed to attend the event, yet he still attempted to enter through a side entrance. Director Williams then walked to the rear of the building where he stood outside a security gate in plain view of attendees for approximately 5 to 7 minutes while Deputy Chief Faraday spoke. Over the course of the last few months, I've been contacted by staff members on multiple occasions that have expressed their concerns regarding the behavior of Director Williams. In both public and private meetings, Director Williams has exhibited volatile behavior, and I believe that the aggressive nature of his behavior seems to be escalating. Furthermore, his blatant defiance and disregard for board direction is an additional cause for concern. In public meetings, Director Williams has repeatedly stated that he's not a violent person, yet his behavior is outside societal and professional norms, and it creates concerns for safety. As fire chief, I have an obligation to provide our personnel with a safe, harassment-free workplace. In addition, I have an obligation to provide for the safety of the public in attendance at our board meetings. It is with all this information in mind that I decided to implement the current security screening procedures that are in place. This concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open up for public comment. Anybody from public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Request any board comment?
I've got a few, of course.
Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
In regards to your statements, were there any threats in my comments?
Specific to what?
Everything that you've talked about, specific to those. Did I threaten anybody? Did I threaten any kind of violence whatsoever?
You threatened to attend when you were directed not to by the board.
Is that a violent thing? I asked you if I threatened violence. If I talk to you right here and I ask you a question and you refuse to answer and I say, I say anything that threatened violence? Did I tell anybody that I was going to beat them or hurt them or hit them or knock them down or come and get them or something like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of. That's absolutely correct, because it didn't happen, and because I get upset. You guys heard me tonight. Sure, if I get emphatic, that's just the nature, but I did not threaten anybody. I've never had, I worked here for 33 years. You failed to say that. I worked here for 33 years. There was never any act of violence that occurred. There was never any incident of violence that occurred. I've lost my temper. I let them know that I don't like certain things. I don't like what you're doing to me. I'll be damn certain that I tell you that. But violence is not something that goes on. And what you're doing is a waste of money. And you know it's a waste of money. You're trying to make something out of nothing. I've worked with many people that are still on the department. And the one thing that's never gone on is I've never threatened anybody or anything else. And how you could possibly say, oh, well, there's something that could happen is just absolutely ridiculous. And you know it. And it's not a part of my nature. It's part of my nature, yeah, to get upset and let people know how I feel. I've always said that. But it's not a part of my nature to be violent. And that goes for all of you. And I'm sorry, but it's the way things are. And when people treat somebody like you've treated me, yeah, I'm going to be upset. I've had some pretty bad things done to me since I got on this board. And I don't understand exactly why. I'm going to tell you something. Tonight I asked Chief Shackelford to make some copies for me. And they were government code. And what they were was they were one of the copies that I had asked Sandra to make. When I asked her to make the 2 copies because of the meeting with Mike Messina, and I don't care what he says, he did ask for the copies. One of them was the one I asked you to make tonight, Tim, and I said, these are government code, these aren't personal, and they weren't personal. See, you can say what you want about Sandra, but one of what she said was not truthful. One copy that you made me tonight was government code, and it was the exact same copy that I asked her to make. And she refused to make it, and she said it was personal. So I do get upset. And I'm going to do stuff about it. You know, it's just like when Sarah was here, and she says, gee, you always want to go to court. You want to take us to court. Well, that's not violence. If I do anything else, I come in here with a baseball bat or a board and beat somebody, that's violence. Well, I'm not going to do that. If I take you to court, that's allowed. You don't need a security thing out there because I'm going to take you to court. So don't be ridiculous. Don't be crazy. I mean, my gosh. The last thing I want to do is have something go on where there's a confrontation of somebody beating the heck out of somebody. It doesn't happen. I don't do it. It's nuts. You say I yelled across the parking lot. I yelled so I could make myself heard. Hey, Josh, I'm over here. Hey, did you get that copy that I sent you? There's nothing wrong with that. You said they were across the parking lot. You admitted that just now. You said that. They were across the parking lot. And I yelled at them. What I did is I hollered so I could be heard. That's all there was to it. So I've been to a lot of meetings. I've worked here for 33 years. I've been coming to these meetings a lot more than just being on this board. I've said some things, said a lot of things. I said these guys are like a bunch of bullies, and I'll say it again. But I never, ever had any violence. I never got violent with them. I mean, Be reasonable. Do the department and everybody a favor and don't be paying for these things that you don't need. My gosh. The record speaks for itself. That's all I can say. I mean, you're being ridiculous. You want to be ridiculous because you want to hurt me. And that's what it's all about. You're trying to make me look like I'm some kind of person that's liable to go off. It's not going to happen. I'll let you know how I feel, though. I'll tell you everything I feel, and it'll be the truth. Just like when you did what you did on this copy. When I told you at the restaurant that day, I said, you really overreacted. You're the one that needs to be checked out because you overreacted. I said, all you had to do was tell me we're not going to make the copies, and that would have been it. Would have been over. But no, you had to make a big deal about it. And you had to cause all kinds of stink, and you're still causing stink about it. And we've got a guy here that's a felon conspiring with you, and that's a hell of a lot worse than anything of any copies that I've made. So I'm going to leave it at that and let the people judge for themselves. But if I have done anything that was anything like Tim has said, where it requires a security out there and whatnot, he should have me in court and getting a judge say that I can't be here. Period. If he wants to spend money, spend it on the court. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, any other board members have comments?
Sure, I'll take a stab at
Go
this.
ahead. Director Cruz.
Chief, I applaud you for making sure that our staff and the public is safe at all times. That's your core responsibility above anything else that you do. So I applaud you for taking whatever steps that you feel are necessary to take. And I agree with the steps that you've taken. Mr. Williams, perhaps your tactics and approach is not working. And what you never said there was you didn't take any sort of responsibility. You're blaming everybody else again. What I would ask you to do is to change your approach. It's not working. It's not working. So you need to change your approach. You might not feel like that you're doing anything wrong, that your approach is fine, but it's not. It's not okay. The words you're using, the demeanor you're using, the way you're doing it is not okay. And it's not working. It's not working for you. It's not working for us. So change your approach. Become a team player. Abide by the rules so we can get you back to being on committees and we can have you back to being a productive member of the board. But that's on you to change your approach. And that's what I ask of you to do.
Okay. I'll do that.
That's it.
No comment. No comment. I have a comment, and I agree with Director Krieger wholeheartedly. It's been your approach. It's been the way you address staff. It's been the way you intimidate staff. Last meeting, you sat here and you told us about something that occurred in your career, and you used the term going postal. And I hate that term because it offends our postal service. But you used that term, so I'm going to just refer to that. And you talked about them coming out and concerned about you going postal. Well, apparently, that's still felt today. That's why these, I'm going to assume the chief implemented the security measures. People are concerned about you because you don't interact with people. You talk about bullyism. You're the bully with a lot of people, and that's the way it's perceived. You can take it for what it's worth. You can change and try to be more congenial towards people, or you can be the bully that everybody perceives you are. It's up to you. And I'll go back to what I said before. It's not about 2 copies. It's the way you acted about those 2 copies. And tonight, You sat right there and you says, I told the chief I needed something done for the staff report. Then you tell us, these are the copies I wanted before. So you lied to the chief. You sat here and lied tonight to the chief. So you call me a liar or a felon and the chief a liar. Mr. Williams, you are also a liar then, based on everything you said tonight. Because those copies were if they were the ones you wanted before, are the personal copies. And they're pennies. And a reasonable person would have said, okay, they're copies, big deal, I'll go make them myself somewhere else. Instead of escalating everything to where it is now. And none of us like being here with this thing being escalated. It's an embarrassment to be here at the district. It's made a mockery of the district, and it just gets worse and worse every week. I agree with Director Krieger. I wish you would change your tactics and just become more congenial and learn how to get along with people instead of being antagonistic. And I'll conclude my comments with that. And with this, I believe this is also, unless there's direction, it's a receive and file as well.
President DeMonica, could I add
Absolutely,
two remarks
Chief.
to respond? First, I would really think that any organization or company that has suffered through workplace violence would have gladly put procedures in place had they known something may have occurred or may be apt to occur. So you keep that perspective. A small investment may be money well spent in the long term for the safety of our personnel to avoid a problem. Secondly, I'd like to point out that Director Williams acknowledged the content of our lunch meeting, which he previously stated that I lied about and made up on the record. This evening, he acknowledged what he did state to me at that meeting, but previously he said it was all lies.
Thank you. So with that, if there's no motion to do anything additional.
Do I get to respond to
we'll
that or
get
anything?
We all get to speak once according to the board policy.
Okay.
So we're going to move on. So we'll receive and file. We'll go to item 10.
Discussion and possible action concerning filed complaint regarding board member Krieger's submittal of board invoices. Purpose is for the Board of Directors to discuss and consider possible action concerning a complaint filed by Kyle Williams against board member Krieger with the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office, Public Integrity Unit. Report by Director Wynn Williams.
Okay, you asked for this to be on the agenda, so it's your report.
Thank you very much. I'll just go ahead and read this. I ask that this item be placed on the agenda because this is a very serious matter. This concerns allegations of misappropriation of taxpayer funds by an elected official, and I believe the public has the right to know about it. I first became alerted to the possibility of a potential problem with board member Mike Krieger following one of my many liaison assignments at the Chino Valley Unified School Board meeting. Mike Krieger was also a liaison to the school board meeting, but he was not at the meeting. I later asked him about his absence, and he told me he was at the meeting but left before it started. I knew this was a lie because I was there well before the meeting started and was there until the end. I shared this with my son, and he felt compelled to dig into the matter further. He submitted a public records request for Mike Krieger's board meeting attendance invoices, and he compared those to publicly available YouTube videos and minutes of meetings that Krieger claimed he attended as a liaison. These videos and minutes appear to show that Krieger rarely shows up at the meetings for his liaison assignments, but still submitted invoices to receive compensation for meetings he never attended. This information was submitted in a complaint to the San Bernardino County District Attorney Public Integrity Unit. The Office of the Public Integrity Unit has acknowledged that the complaint is currently under review. I am going to share a summary of the facts presented in that complaint along with some additional information of which I am personally aware, which can be independently verified. Krieger did not attend the September 20th, 2018 meeting of the Chino Valley School District Board. The YouTube video of that meeting shows the Chino Valley president asking Mike Krieger from the fire board. She hears no response because Krieger is not there, and she moves on. Krieger did not attend the October 4th, 2018 meeting of the Chino Valley School District Board. The YouTube video of that meeting shows the CVUSD president stating Mike Krieger not in attendance. Krieger did not attend the October 18th, 2018 meeting of the CVUSD board. The YouTube video of that meeting shows the CVUSD president asking someone from the fire board, no. Krieger did not attend the November 15th, 2018 meeting of the CVUSD board. The YouTube video of that meeting shows the CVUSD president asking, Mike Krieger? No. Krieger did not attend the January 17, 2019 meeting of the CVUSD board. This was the meeting I attended as liaison that Krieger later claimed he attended. This was a lie. He was not there. Krieger did not attend the February 21st, 2019 meeting of the CVUSD board. I was at this meeting as liaison and Krieger was not in attendance. Krieger did not attend the March 7th, 2019 meeting of the CVUSD board. I was at the meeting as liaison and Krieger was not in attendance. Krieger did not attend the March 21st, 2019 meeting of the CVUSD board. The YouTube video of that meeting shows 3 community liaisons, Deborah Pedora from the Ontario City Council, Art Bennett from the Chino Hills City Council, and Mark Hargrove from the Chino City Council. After those 3 spoke, the CVUSD president said, "Any other representatives? I see none. We'll move on." Oh. In each instance mentioned, Krieger submitted a meeting attendance invoice and received compensation for these school board meetings he did not attend. Krieger also did the same for his liaison assignments to the San Bernardino County Airport Commission. The Airport Commission meetings rotate around the various county airports and are relatively informal meetings held in small conference rooms at the airports. There is a sign-in sheet for all visitors, and all visitors are listed in the meeting minutes. Board member Luth is familiar with this because he had that liaison assignment last year before it was assigned to Krieger this year. If you look at the minutes for the December 2018 meeting, you will see board member Luth's name listed as a visitor for that meeting he attended. Mike Krieger's name will not be found on the minutes of any of the 2019 meetings because he has not attended a single airport commission meeting since he was given this liaison assignment. I have a personal interest in aviation and have attended all the meetings since March as a citizen unrelated to the fire board. Krieger has not been at any of these meetings. At the March meeting, I was talking with some of the airport commission members before the meeting. I assume they knew Mike Krieger from the January and February meetings, but when I brought up his name, they had no idea who he was because he had not been there. Aside from Ray Marquez, who previously served on this board, the airport commission members have never met Krieger because he has not been to a single meeting this year. They don't know who he is. This can all be independently confirmed by the minutes of the airport commission meeting, the airport commission secretary, or the airport commissioners themselves. Even though he did not attend these meetings, Krieger submitted a meeting attendance invoice and received compensation for the January, February, and April airport commission meetings he did not attend. At the May meeting of this board, Krieger even claimed during board comments that he attended the April airport commission meeting. The minutes of that meeting state that Krieger and I, quote, reported that he attended the airport commission meeting. This was a lie. The facts represented only cover the period since July 2018. Krieger's scheme potentially predates that by months, if not years. Incredibly, while this was taking place, Krieger had the audacity to lecture this board at the March 13th meeting about board policy concerning compensation. The minutes of that meeting state, Director Krieger asked the board, and especially Director Williams, to please refer to Board Policy 1050, which is regarding remuneration and reimbursement for board members. I'll conclude for now by referring this to Board Policy 2040.3, which states, in the event the board becomes aware of a violation of any federal, state, or local law, the board may, in addition to any other remedies available, refer such matter to the appropriate federal, state, or local authorities for civil and/or criminal investigation where applicable. In addition, in the event these policies are violated, whether maliciously, willfully, intentionally, or negligently, the board may, in addition to any other remedies available, censure the violating individuals. Refer the matter to the appropriate authorities for civil and/or criminal investigation where applicable, seek judicial relief, or any combination of such remedies. End of report.
Before I open up to the public, I got one question for you. When you talk about meetings, what, in your opinion, constitutes attendance at a meeting?
I looked that up and I'd have to bring it up again, but attendance at the meeting means physically being there
For how long?
or being there, with the permission of, like Sarah was at the meeting when she was doing it. For
Okay.
how long? I have no idea.
What's your opinion? How long? I'm asking what your opinion is. You're the one that brought the staff report up. I want to know what your opinion of attendance of a meeting is and the duration of what your opinion is, or how long you should attend that meeting.
My personal opinion is what you're asking for?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I'd say at least a half hour.
At least a half hour. Okay. I'm going to open this up to the public for public comment. Anybody from the public like to comment on this? Mr. Eli?
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Williams brought this item up, and he started by saying, this has been reported to the DA's Public Integrity Unit, and then he proceeded to spend about 7 or 8 minutes reading all of the allegations that apparently have already been provided to the district attorney. Why in God's name are we wasting the public's time with allegations that have been brought to the district attorney, who is fully capable of, in doing his own investigation and making a determination as to whether a law has been broken? I am not aware of Director Williams being an attorney. I'm not aware of, but these allegations are clearly retaliatory theater. I've been practicing law for 32 years. It's a very common tactic. When you feel you're being attacked, you go and attack other people, and that's what this taxpayer is seeing our money wasted. I'm sure the lawyers got a copy of this, so they had to spend taxpayer money looking at the issue, and this is just outrageous. He makes allegations, he makes defamatory comments about other people in a public forum, knowing full well that they're public figures, so they probably won't sue them. And you probably, Director Krieger undoubtedly has a thick skin. Having said that, this is outrageous and offensive to this taxpayer that this is going on. You made your report, Director Williams. Let the DA do his job. If there really is a crime, the DA will take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other requests from the public to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Would any member of the board like to speak?
Sure, I'd like to respond on this. I am extremely disturbed, confused, frustrated, and sad about Mr. Williams' allegations. Let me be clear. I have not broken California law or board policy in any way. It seems that Mr. Williams and his son are trying to deflect his personal issues with the fire district away from himself. He has called the chief a liar. He's called Board President DeMonico a liar and a crook. And now is moving on to another board member, me. Who will be next? When will this end? Our job is to do what is best for the district and our community. Over the past 5 years, I've done that without ever making it about me personally. Mr. Williams cannot say the same. This distraction from doing the community's business is a detriment and disservice to the district. Mr. Williams continues to bring down our district with his unfounded allegations and attacks on both staff and board members. Our job is to move this great organization forward, and that is where my focus is and where it will be. Due to the nature of the allegations and considering the source, I will have no further comment on this.
Thank you. Any other comments? I have a comment, and thank you for your comments, Director Krieger. I appreciate your comments. But to you, Mr. Williams, if you would expend half the energy on being a board member to represent the public compared to the energy you spend on disruption, this would be a really positive place and would be a pleasure to be here. And my challenge to you is for you to channel your energy into being a good member of this board to do what's best in the public's interest and to represent the public. You were elected to represent the public. We were all represented to represent the public. We were elected to do that, and we try to do that. But everything you do seems to be self-serving, and I would like to see you move away from the self-serving interests and do what you were elected to do. And with that, I have no further comment. Is there any motion or a direction that the board wishes to take on this?
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we investigate the allegations that I've made and find out whether they're true or not.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Seeing no second, the motion dies. Moving on. Fire chief comments.
President DeMonico, members of the board, good evening once again. Under personnel development activities, we have, on June 17th, Fire Marshal Barnes attended an informational meeting hosted by Caltrans for the upcoming project slated for the 60 freeway. The meeting discussed the plan for the start of the State Route 60 paving project, which is slated to begin later this month. The project is expected to be a 3-year project with 14 consecutive 55-hour weekend closures of each direction of State Route 60 from the I-15 to the 6091-215 interchange, one direction at a time, 7 weeks each direction. So we'll continue to provide updates as more information is available with that. Under board activities and public relations, on June 26th, the city of Chino hosted the 2019 State of the City at Chaffey College in Chino. A badge pinning ceremony for our new firefighter permits and promotions took place at the Chino Hills Community Center on June 26th. The ceremony was well attended by board members, representatives from the city's staff, and family members. Board members and district personnel attended the City of Chino Fireworks Spectacular on June 28th and the City of Chino Hills Independence Celebration on July 3rd. The fire district hosted a booth and had personnel assigned to a Medicart at both events to provide emergency medical service as needed to those in attendance. Organizational items of interest, I'd like to ask our HR director to provide a recruitment update.
Good evening again. We will be conducting office technician interviews next week. We have about 60 candidates that we're expecting. And then the posting for the information technology specialist closes on July 15th. And we anticipate conducting testing and interviews late July, early August. Thank you.
And next, I would like to ask Deputy Chief Collins to provide a report on fireworks. Sorry, the miscommunication on my part. So the district had a robust interaction with law enforcement in both cities. And this is based on memory because I didn't bring the paperwork with me. I apologize for that. This was the largest year in terms of collection in total pounds ever, but the number of citations did decrease. We believe there were 40 citations in the city of Chino, 2 with a third pending in the city of Chino Hills, and a combination of illegal and safe and sane fireworks were seized. The seizure of those, the safe and sane, would be in the Chino Hills areas. And we can provide more specific detail at a future meeting to the board if you desire that. The fire district has received a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting for our June 30th, 2018 comprehensive annual financial report for the Government Finance Officers Association. This GFOA financial reporting award evidences the district's core value of transparency and reflects our board and staff's ongoing commitment to meeting the highest principles of government accounting and financial reporting. This award is complementary to the district's participation in and receipt of our GFOA Distinguished Budget Award. And I'd like to extend my personal appreciation and gratitude for the efforts to obtain this to our finance director and his staff. There's a tremendous amount of work. He's really moved our budget practice and transparency forward over the last several years, and this is an outstanding achievement for our organization. So thank you, Steve, to you and your staff. Under upcoming events, the ASBCSD monthly meeting will take place on July 15th at the Percy Baker Community Center in Hesperia. There's a special board meeting scheduled for July 31st, administration. The annual National Night Out event is scheduled for August 6th, and the International Association of Fire Chiefs Conference will take place August 7th through August 10th in Atlanta. And that concludes my reports for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Board committee reports and board comments. We'll start with Mr. Williams.
Oh, thank you. in regards to the situation that's gone on, I'm sorry that things have gone the way they have gone. I never intended, when I got on this board, for things to get out of hand in the manner that they have. They've only done that because of threats and things that have happened to me. And like tonight, in regards to this copy, Mr. DeMonico said that the copy was personal. There is no way that a person that makes a copy of a document that is government code can be considered personal. And he makes comments like that that are absolutely wrong. And when you have a situation like that, it's really hard. I came on this board with good intentions. I wanted to be treated fairly. I wanted to treat people fairly. More than anything else, I wanted to treat people fairly. And I asked for these copies to be made because I had spoken with the person they asked me to speak to, a consultant. He asked to see him. And things just went nuts. And yet, I'm the one to blame. I went to this consultant because they asked me to. And now I'm the one that's being held accountable because he asked me to make these copies because he wanted to see them. He was a police officer, like I've stated in the past. And he wanted to see these documents. So I tried to get them. And when I tried to get them, I was told no. And I told her, I says, well, these were for the consultant and so on. And boy, things just got crazy. So they were gunning for me when I got on the board. You have to understand that. They were gunning for me. They didn't like the idea that I gave their buddy the boot and so on because I won the election and so on. I mean, Jesus, it was hardly, what, one or two meetings when Sarah asked me to resign. And, I mean, I just got started. So if anybody thinks that they weren't gunning for me, you're pretty naive. I mean, they're like a bunch of bullies. I want to be a part of their little group. I wanted to be a part of it and join the crowd and all that stuff and go to their little junctures and stuff like that up to Sacramento and everything. But they didn't want that. They couldn't see that. And they were looking for any excuse that they could find to keep that from happening. And that's what's happened. If they want things to change, it's their part that has to change. And here we go, here we go. Oh, well, you're the one. They asked me not to come. Since the last meeting, Sarah says, well, if you just don't come for 1 month. I came here one time, I called the chief, I set it up. I had something that they wanted me to sign or something. They came here one time, signed it. Haven't been here since the last meeting. Does anybody say, hey, he's working, he's trying to change? No, that's not it. See, I can do this. I could not come to this place for 6 months except for these meetings right here. And in 6 months, I'll be right where I am right now. Be out. The chief won't let me come here because he wants me excluded. I mean, if you can believe that. I've never heard of such a thing. Our mayor sits there for Chino Hills. How would she feel if she wasn't told that she couldn't go to the city hall? You can't go to the city hall.
I wouldn't be told that because I mind the rules.
Well, yeah, but I don't know why I was told that, because I talk to people and they don't like my demeanor. I never made any threats. He can't say that I made any threats. So I'm only sorry that I did that. I need to come here and I need to say yes, no, No, yeah, okay, and then that I might be all right. Thank you.
You done? Done. Director Prater?
Steve, congratulations on the GFOA award. I know that took a lot of work to put that financial document together, and congratulations. It really is a shining example of what good work happens here at the district. I attended the Chino 4th of July celebration. It's the first time I've ever been in town to go to that, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed the fireworks and the camaraderie with my fellow elected leaders and the community out there. As Mayor Moran mentioned last night at the Chino Hills Council meeting, Ryan Porhosasian, did I say that right?
Ryan P. No.
Gosh, that guy's, Ryan P. And a crew did a great example of our new monitoring device and automatic compression. What's it called, guys? Autopulse, thank you. The Autopulse technology that we've implemented, and it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad that they were there to do that. It was well received. And with that, I think I'm just going to end it with that for the evening. But Chief, I appreciate everything you're doing for the district, and I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice President Lee.
Sorry, thank you. On the 25th, attended the Chino Hills City Council meeting. One of the things, if I got the date right, on the 15th of August, there's going to be an active shooter workshop. So encourage everyone who has an interest in that in attending. Unfortunately, I was out of town last night, and I missed the meeting, so I missed Ryan P.'s presentation, but I'm sure it was
How do you say his last
outstanding.
name?
Yeah, no.
Porhosasian.
On the 26th was the Chino State of the City, very nice event, and then the badge pinning, that was an outstanding event. Wow, just so well done and well attended, very well done. 29th, the fireworks spectacular in Chino, that was a great event. On the 2nd, we had our quarterly meeting with Chino, where we just generally, there's some updates with what's going on in the city and what's going on in the district. And then unfortunately, I missed the Chino Hills event on the 3rd. I had another commitment to another organization I'm involved with, so wasn't able to attend that. And Steve, yeah, congratulations. You and your crew, your staff, just an outstanding job. Reflects very well on our district, and we appreciate all your good, hard efforts. Thank you. That would end my comments.
Thank you, and my comments, and Steve, thank you. There are some good things that are happening in this district, so thank you for those efforts. I did attend a Chino Council meeting, had a CSDA legislative meeting. Things are moving forward, bills are starting to be signed, and there's a couple of bills that are going to affect the fire service, and I don't have those numbers, but one affects dispatching for the fire service, and apparently there was a thing yesterday. And Chief, I'd like to ask you just to give just a quickie snippet on what happened yesterday at the committee meeting.
And actually, Deputy Chief Atkinson attended the meeting. He could provide a little more detail.
Okay.
We sent a couple representatives. There was some legislation pending. I don't have the bill number off the top of my head here, but essentially it was protecting the rights of a public safety answering point, or PSAP, and preventing that from being outsourced to a private entity. So it was big on the EMS front, meaning that that initial answering of a 911 call will continue to remain as a public function versus being outsourced to a for-profit company.
Good evening. I could also further comment, that's SB 438. So myself and Battalion Chief Williams attended the meeting. We flew up and returned in one day. Over 75 firefighters from throughout the state, including there's a cadre of firefighters from Southern California attended the meeting to show our support. We were at the Health Committee meeting on the Senate side, and we had a chance to comment and give our that we were either for or against, so we got a chance to go up, say our department, and give our what state that we were for the bill. It was greatly appreciated by the fire community that we in Southern California made trip up to Northern California and Sacramento. So thank you to Chief Shockford for having us attend that meeting.
And thank you for going up there and representing not only us, but the fire service, Cal Chiefs, Fire District Association of California, all of them who support this bill. Also, we're in a process, I attended the filming for the State of the District, which is coming up in the future. We start early for that. The badge pinning ceremony was great. I attended the Chino State of the City and the Chino Hills Quarterly. But I'd like to just address Mr. Williams when you talk about me being against you from day one. I appointed you to several liaison assignments and committees. I sat with you the first day. We had a meeting, and I sat and had lunch with you and talked about how I really wanted to succeed and help you and do everything we can and work together. And shortly after that, you have attacked me and continue to attack me. And you do that regularly. And you can do that. I've got thick skin. I don't care that you attack me. You can do that. But don't say that I didn't try and do something for you and that I was against you from the very beginning, because I was not. And you can go back and look at those initial liaison assignments and look at what I gave to you, which was quite a bit, which is in the president's prerogative to assign those assignments. And I assigned you to a lot of things, a lot, and you lost those on your own.
You did, and I thank you for that.
And with that, I'm going to.
I did thank you for that.
But you don't say that anymore. What you say now is you call me a liar, a felon, a thief, and you call Director Krieger that. You call the chief a liar and a thief. Harvey's next. So with that, we are going to adjourn the meeting to the next regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chino Valley Independent Fire District to be held on Wednesday, August 14th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at District Headquarters Office located at 14011 City Center Drive, Chino Hills, California. Thank you. Meeting adjourned at 7:28. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. You touch me again, it's gonna assault. Don't touch me.
You think I got a
Don't
problem?
touch
You
me.
think I've got a problem?
Don't touch me.
Attorney? Yeah. What kind of attorney?
A good one.
32 years.
Cat hair doctor or something.
No, it's
Trial lawyer.
Hi, Dave.
It's an interesting place.
Oh, you're welcome, gentlemen. That's like one of the zoo.
Yeah, but it was a good experience. It wasn't what you expect. It wasn't what I was like, wow.